I think we're, yeah, we're live. Cool. Oh man, it has been a full day, very full day. Worked on some coding stuff myself. Did some things around the house. Boy, let me start this the way I normally start this. I'm a software engineer. I've been working professionally for the last 8 years. I have been coding for the last 10 to 12 years and have really enjoyed more working on front-end type work throughout my career. What that means is building out websites, doing UI work, and that's part of what's drawn me to both enjoying games but also starting to dabble myself in game development, in game coding, learning more about how to make games, and that's kind of what I've been documenting with my streams recently. Has been my game development process, or learning process, and everything that I've been doing. So I've built this little playground for myself. I'm not right now currently making a game per se. I'm building out a playground where I can create features and learn more about how to do some of the things that I might want to do if I were to actually build a game in the future. So let me just kind of walk through what I've built so far. Very simple main menu. You can continue a game, create a new game, load a game. You can delete saves. If we start a new game, you see you get brought in. It's a top-down 2D view at the moment. The polygons that you see right now are debug polygons. This blue thing that you see here is a zombie. The only way you can technically see them is when you turn your flashlight on. And if you shoot them, you can see that they die. You can open up your inventory. And this is what I've been working on recently, is just getting kind of a better understanding of inventories in general, how they should work. Felt like I hit a bit of a snag in the last session because I wasn't really finding a great way to... Whoa, did those guys just like appear out of nowhere? That was weird. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. But I haven't found a good way to create a generic inventory that can be used between the player, between enemies, like when you go click on their inventory to open that up, because I want to be able to have the user like move things back and forth between inventories and whatnot. So I've been trying to create a generic way of doing that, and I've got something that's working, but it's not as elegant as I'd like it to be, and it doesn't seem like the right way to do things. So right now I've kind of coded this inventory where it's hard coded to just be 16 elements. You can't have more than 16 elements in the inventory. That's purely a random choice at this point. But I've coded it such that when you click on one of these inventory items and you select it, and there's no indication that it's selected other than the console log down at the bottom. When you click drop, it is supposed to like put a null element into these inventory slots. So I'm trying to figure out how best to do that without, one, re-rendering the entire inventory, so like wiping everything clean and then re-rendering it, because that's a waste of resources. But I also simultaneously am not finding that the way that I've implemented this, and I need to modify it obviously for, you know, the game's sake, but and like usability, but I'm not finding that the way I've implemented this is particularly great. And so I need to do some more thinking on it. So if we come into the inventory itself, I've got this disgusting function here, which is just a web of all kinds of stuff that basically gets triggered when a inventory element, in this case I'm calling it an inventory node, excuse me, is updated. So basically saying like if the first element, or the second element, whatever you want to say, is updated, then only update the components here. The tricky part is I don't want to have to necessarily, because in Godot there are these things called signals, and every time you create a new, like instantiate a new scene and you need to connect something, then you have to do that manually, and it seems wasteful to constantly be doing that every time you make a change in the inventory. But I'm not seeing at the moment a better way of doing it other than just kind of re-rendering everything. So let's do some research. Let's actually use ChatGPT for this first. Create a new one here. How should you properly handle updating an inventory or really any user interactable control node interact? That's not a word, but that's fine. An inventory UI or really any user interactable control node. Godot 4 specifically. How should you properly handle updating an inventory UI? I'm finding it to require some inelegant coding patterns that feels like I'm doing something wrong. I am not enjoying this playlist. So let's go back to what we normally listen to here, which I believe is, I think I've been listening to this one. Yeah. Go for updating a UI like an inventory system often involves several considerations to maintain clean and manageable code. The key is to separate concerns game logic. So inventory data should be distinct from the UI. Yep, that makes sense. Separate data in UI, use signals for communication. Efficiently update the UI rather than updating the entire UI every frame around every small change. Try to only update parts of the UI that are affected by changes. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. If only one item is added or removed, update only that specific slot in the UI instead of rebuilding the entire interface. Use control nodes features. Make use of Godot's built-in control nodes features such as VBox, blah, 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 to automate the layout and sizing. Consider model view controller pattern. Tool mode for editor updates. Okay, maybe part of my issue then okay, so first of all, I've got a couple naming issues. It's not clear that this is UI. I've got too many things called inventory right now. So I'm actually going to just rename this to inventory logic. And now you're going to complain class name, whoops, inventory logic. Or wait, no, I don't want to update this to inventory logic. Just call this inventory. And then we're actually going to update the UI to be inventory UI. Okay, this will probably make other stuff yell, but that's fine for now. Okay. Now, this function is gross. Before that, I'm going to go into inventory item button. So what I'm not liking about this is I'm not actually storing the item itself. And I think that would make things a little bit easier when it comes to handling this. So I'm actually going to say var item, and then with data, we're going to actually pass in the item here. I'm going to say I dot, okay, so on an item, get name, just going to return a string. Get item ID. It's going to also return a string. Oh no, it's going to return an integer. I guess that's fine. Let's say get item name, because I'm sure that's a protected function. Cool. So we're going to say I.get item name. And then when we update the item, we're also going to pass in an item. Let's say self.item equals I. Same thing here. I.get item name. Self.inventory key. I just deleted that, didn't I? Hold on. Is that what was there? Oh yeah, inventory key. Okay, so we can store the item, but then I guess we also need to store where it's located in the inventory. So it's a string. So we'll say self.inventory key equals I key. Do the same here. Actually, do we need to? I don't think we need to do that here because we already know what location it's at. So then we can say self.inventory key. Okay. Now, when we're instantiating inventory item button scene, which is what actually displays the particular item, instead of passing an item name, we're just going to pass an item. and if the item does not exist, so if item is null, we do need to handle that. So if not I, then we really just want to display okay, item name is just a string. So if self.item is not null, we'll say item name equals get item name, and then we'll pass in item name here. And then we do need to do the same thing here. So what I wasn't loving was all of the get child stuff too. Because that'll start to get complicated if you have any kind of complex scene here. Godot for how do you properly handle whoops, I forgot to start the timer again. Definitely thought I did that. I guess when I hit stop, I hit start. Or when I hit start, I hit stop. How long's it been? It's been 18 minutes, so how many seconds is that? Math is hard. 5 minutes is 300 seconds. I don't know, 1,000. So let's just say 19,600 here. And start. All right, that's close enough. How do you properly handle getting, handle programmatically getting a, child by child? Either is it best to do that by name, by ID, hey Icon, how's it going? I'll pull chat up here like I did yesterday. So I'm actually wondering if I should be storing this action button as a global on the... I honestly probably should be doing that. Action button is... Let's see, action button scene. Do I have action button? So class name action button. So I think I can say that should be valid, right? And then I say self.action button. So that means instead of child here, because child is just supposed to be the action button, Um, I think I can do... It feels empty in here. It's all good, man. I've only been streaming for the last like 10, 11 days. And really I'm just doing it to document my software engineering or my game development experience. I've been software engineering professionally for the last like 8 years. So thought it was time to learn some new skills and doing that with game dev. But yeah, don't worry about there not being too many people in here. It's all good. I'm just having fun doing my coding. And if people want to ask questions, that's great. If people want to hang out, that's great. If they don't, that's also totally fine. No pressure. Okay, so self.action button. I think that should be fine. Now, calling initialize on that again when I think I should just add another function here to update button text. We just pass in a string, returns void, and it sets button text equal to BT. So instead of initializing this again, we'll just say update button text with item name. Okay, that's already, I think, looking a little bit better. And let's see, update item. No worries, totally good, man. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it, even if it was for just a few minutes. Okay, update item. I need to fix this so it's passing in the actual inventory item rather than all of that. Even if inventory item is null, I think it's still fine to pass that in because I'm handling it. Just getting the child. Oops. Actually, what I want to do is internal is different than. Is there a way to add multiple children? How did I learn coding? I picked it up. I mean, I went to college for it. But it wasn't what I initially went to school for. And then I took a class and enjoyed it, and then took another class and continued to enjoy it. How long did it take me? I mean, I went to school for it. So, I did 3 years of studying it in school. And then it took me like 3 or 4 months after school to get my first job. And then I got my first like real startup job a couple months after that. And then worked at some small startups, went to some big companies. Have worked at some mid-sized companies, so I feel like I've gotten a pretty good experience. I mean, now's the best time to start. Like, there's no better time than now. there's a lot of resources online. I would say just starting with like, there's a language called Python, and it's one of the easier languages to wrap your head around. But there's tons of good tutorials online, both on YouTube and Khan Academy, KHAN Academy probably has some good intro to computer science type classes as well. In terms of tough math, I personally haven't had that experience. There were some tougher math classes in school, but the software development that I've done has been primarily, it hasn't used math all that much. And so I wouldn't say that you need to have like a really in-depth knowledge of difficult maths in order to get into computer science. No, it's and there's so many flavors of computer science and software engineering. Like I professionally, I build I'm a what's called a full stack developer, so I build websites and backends, so like servers that the websites connect to, and I do infrastructure mostly in AWS. But there's all kinds of different coding. You don't need to do both front end and back end. There's mobile development, so iOS and Android. Machine learning and AI is starting to become really popular. And then there's a lot of adjacent fields within engineering and like product making. So like UI, UX, user interface, user experience, design, product management, project management. So there's like a lot of stuff you can do kind of in the software, in the engineering, in the tech space, without even necessarily being like a coder per se. But yeah, in terms of getting started, I mean, it's really just about taking small steps. And there's tons of resources online for getting started. But really, it's like having some way to make yourself accountable for what you're learning. And for me, it's been streaming over the last like 10, 11 days. I've wanted to learn more about game development, and I thought it was a good way to keep myself motivated on it, even when I'm tired and don't necessarily want to click stream. Just doing it and having fun and interacting with people. Yeah. Hopefully that answers some of your questions there. All right, where was I? Oh yeah, so I was gonna, I think, also do the same thing for the inventory UI. Basically create an array of nodes. And this will be an array of inventory item button. Is that yeah. So it's going to be an array of inventory item buttons. Or should I make it a dictionary? No, an array is totally fine. It'll be empty. Why are you yelling? Oh, is it this? What is the notation for? Yeah. All right. So when we're initializing, these will actually be the inventory item nodes. So, whoops. Whoa, what is the keybind for that? How did I do that? So when I'm creating these buttons, I want to say self dot inventory item nodes dot, is it push? I think push back and then just say B. And then we'll add the child to the scene. My question now is, if instead of getting the child of this scene, if I instead update the value in the array, does it update the UI? So we're gonna find that out now. So instead of item scene.getChild, we're gonna say self.inventory item nodes of this value. I think that's a perfectly acceptable way to access in yeah, I think that's fine to access an array in Godot or in GDScript. So wait a second. Self.inventory.get item, what is value? Oh, okay, so if inventory is not null, don't we want to update the item regardless? Because this, I do think we want to do that. Even if inventory node, hold on a second. No, inventory node should never technically be null. Unless we've really messed up. But so let's not worry about that. Oh, okay, we're updating the inventory. Okay, I see what we're doing. Gotcha. So if that's null, so I think, if I'm not mistaken, this should work. Probably gonna have an error, would be my guess. Somewhere. Yeah. Non-existent function initialize in base control, player inventory, player inventory line 9. Inventory UI scene. Oh, I moved this. Okay. Whoops. So that's now called inventory UI. Please close. Thank you. Let's try this again. And we'll say continue. Open up the inventory. So yet again, another issue. Non-existent function initialize in base control. Is that not what I called it? Inventory UI. Inventory UI. Initialize. Did I update the name? So inventory UI scene. Inventory UI. Is it not called initialize anymore? No, it is. There's a function called initialize, but for whatever reason, it's saying that inventory is null. But why would it be saying inventory? Hold on. Did I name this to something else? Inventory UI. Okay, let's see if this works now. No, same issue. Non-existent function initialize in base control. Should this not be extending control? So inventory UI. No, it's just... Ah, that's why. It did not move the script properly. So let's detach the script here. Reattach it. That's what I get for manually changing the names here. Okay, so this should fix the problem. Okay, cool. So now I think if we... No, that doesn't work. All right, so the array... When the nodes get added to the... Maybe it's just that there's no re-render. Is there a function I should be calling to re-render the UI when I make an update? Process is often automatically done if done correctly. Update. Okay, let's try that. So at the end of this, we will say update. That seems to not be a function. Okay. Don't lie to me. Does update exist in Godot 4? I find that ChatGPT is mostly going to give you Godot 3 answers, but it does sometimes give Godot 4. Okay, well, I don't want that then. So clearly I'm doing something wrong here. Let me just make sure we're actually getting to the right spot still. Updating plus string of value. Okay, can we need to stop printing the inventory so much. Get inventory. So this is all just debug testing code to do remove. Whoops. Did I press the right thing? I guess I did. Why does my inventory print? Oops, what did I do? Oh, shoot. This is what I did. I copy and pasted a bunch of stuff in there. Okay. So we selected 1, and then it would update 1 and 2, but it's not reflecting in So we're getting, maybe the issue is that this becomes a new reference. And so when we actually update that node, it's not doing anything. I wonder if doing, so we'll say if self.inventory item nodes value to int is not equal to null, then we update it. Oh, and then we update it by just accessing it directly. Oops. I doubt this is gonna work. No, that doesn't work. What if I, okay, go back here. If I then print, self.inventory item nodes of value dot to int. What do I see? So I've got a VBox container. So we are getting to that point, which is what we're expecting. So on that node, we should be able to say the item. I guess we can just print out what the item is. Whoops. Oh, what did I do? So dot item. So yeah, it's supposed to be null for both of those, which is expected. But then we're finding that the child at that point, so self.get child of value dot to int dot item, that will not be null when we would hope that it is. Oops. No, it is null. Wait a second. Am I accessing that incorrectly? Okay, let's print this up above before we remove it. And actually wait to no, that can't be right. Hold on a sec. I'm just gonna go. Okay, I lost the code that I was using there, but that's fine. Connected index item on. Okay, so this is just, that's not how you access the child. Fetches a child node. Oh, because it's not self dot. Whoops. Hold on. We actually want items seen dot get child. So if it's doing what I'm expecting, it should still print out. Oh no, it is also null. It's just the UI that's not updating. Okay, so everything is happening as I would hope, but the re-render assertion failed button text is null. Okay. All right. We're making progress here. So yeah, it's just not re-rendering, which I thought was going to happen. And it might be happening because process mode is paused. So we may actually not want that on this node, but we'll get to that in a second. So in action button, we assert that if button text should never be null. So if we are initializing, let's see, inventory item button, this action button, if we're updating the item and the item is null, the item name is going to be an empty string. So we'll actually default this to empty for the moment. Whoops, up that button text. Weird. Surprised that didn't cause issues before. Strange. Unless that's what it's called on action button. Hold on. Oh, it is. That's why. Oops, relax. Relax. Okay, so it shouldn't ever be an empty string now. Unless the item name is an empty string, but we'll deal with that later. Okay. Let's see what happens now. So those are null. We reopen. Button text is null. Why is button text null? Is that because if no. So we're updating the inventory nodes. We are updating the item. So an inventory item button. We're updating the item. Item is null. So we're saying self.item is null. Item name is empty. Does not equal null. I didn't think I needed to explicitly check if it wasn't null, but maybe that's the issue, though I feel like it would throw an error here. Let's print out updated item name. Let's see what this does. I would hope that it's empty. But, okay, updated item name is empty. Failed. Button text is null. Assertion failed. Okay, maybe I just want to remove this assertion. I just don't understand why self.button.text is null, because we're and why is ready getting called again? Because we're not. Does that happen anytime an update is made? It calls this? Or are we like reinitializing the action button here somewhere? I don't think we're doing that. Self.action button.update button text. Setting self.button text equals that. Do we also want to say that? This feels weird. I probably just want to remove the assertion, but I guess it's not really a pattern I necessarily need or want to follow. Oh, wait. Why did it update the... Oh, because I wasn't updating the button text. Okay, this all makes sense now. So... now that we're updating the button text properly when we're calling update button text, I don't actually know which action button. Oh wait, these nodes are becoming null. I don't want these nodes to be null, actually. That's probably what the issue is. I still want the nodes to exist, just the item within them to not anymore. So why is that? So item becomes null, but the node itself should not. It seems like it is. So when we're saying update item, we're just updating the item. We're not updating... Wait, what happens when you reopen? Oh. Wait. When you reopen the inventory, what is it doing? So is get items... So let's print out the inventory length. Length of self.inventory.get items dot keys. What are you yelling about? Okay. You want the string. That's great. Okay, so we might then expect to see here it be... So it starts at 16. Okay, I need to stop printing out the inventory. Where is that happening? Am I doing that? Like self.display inventory? Is it happening? No, that can't be it. Oh, no. We want display inventory. Hold on. Where is print inventory being called? Every time you get items. Okay, let's not do that. Okay, so these aren't null anymore. Or they aren't null. But the inventory length, that's still 16. And yet button text is null. So at display inventory, so inventory UI, line 54, wait, line 54? When we add the child, so B, this is null? Is with data doing something weird here? Oh, we're instantiating the action button. Oh, it's because the item. Goodness. Let's just say the default is also empty. Default empty name is empty. Okay. Getting towards the end there. Alright, this should resolve our issues then. So we should be able to open it up and it'll be totally fine. Great, there we go. So what happens if you try to... Item is null. Okay, great. Cool. So this is operating more in line with what we are expecting now. And I think I've figured out how to do this properly without needing to grab children from the scene. I basically just store them as globals in the scene, parent scene, and that acts as a reference to that child, which is a much simpler way and cleaner way of handling it. So I think I resolved my issue then yesterday. So rather than removing both here, we'll just say when you press the drop button, you remove that selected item. And then after that, we want to say self.selected item key equals, what does it start out as? Null. What is, when I set this, item key is a string. So I'll actually say, that's just an empty string. So if the selected item is not an empty string, then we remove the item and we set the item key to empty string. Okay, we're making some progress here. Awesome. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, so now we can go back into the player inventory and really not that, just the main generic inventory, because we're initializing what was this originally? Because I wasn't creating a bunch of new items here. Or was I? I don't think I was. Oh no, I was setting this all to just null, I believe, is what I was doing originally. So what happens then? Okay, it just shows everything is empty. Great, and you can't select any of these, which is what we want. Awesome. Okay. So now what I wanted to do is add so this label here is just meant to act as the inventory title. It's basically just going to show whose inventory it is. So in the case of player inventory when we're initializing this. We also want to keep track of inventory name. It'll be a string. So when we're initializing this, we also want to pass in the inventory name. Self.inventory name equals iname. And then we want to grab, so at onReadyVar inventory title scene. I guess that's fine. For now, it's container slash panel container. Let's update this name as well. So this will be inventory title, and this will be inventory title label. So I'll actually say inventory title label scene is container inventory title slash inventory title label. And then we want to set, we initialize, actually when we're ready here, I'll say inventory title label scene dot I think it's just text equals self dot inventory name. I would expect 2 arguments. Okay, we didn't actually do that. So we'll say inventory title name, and we can move this elsewhere, but for now we'll just say player inventory title name, and it doesn't show up because it's probably white text. And let's not have a color rectangle here. Actually, no, it shouldn't be white text, should it? Let's see. Theme overrides, colors. Font color should be black. Let's see if this works. Okay, yeah, it does, but it's very dark. So we'll actually put the color rectangle back in so it's white on black. This, we want the container sizing to fill both ways. And we want this to be centered. Vertical alignment, we also want it to be centered. Let's create new label settings, and instead of doing the theme overrides here, instead say color is black. Oops, I don't want the opacity to be 0, so it's black. Say the size is, I don't know, 36 for now. Font can stay what it is. I think this should look a little better. Nope. Why did you not do anything? Okay, if we hide you, do I have to select a font? No, I shouldn't have to select a font, right? Is this not what I want to do? Okay. All right, I'll just do it in theme overrides. So font color, say font sizes, call you 36. Go ahead and see if you worked. You might have, but the color rectangle isn't showing. What is going on here? Is it because it's because you're showing all the way down there. So inventory title, I messed this up. Vertical shrink begin. That's my bad. There we go. All right, so now it shows the player inventory. So eventually we'll add a zombie inventory over on the left. So we'll shift the player over to the right. Why are you not showing player anymore? When I reopen the inventory, you lose the inventory name. That doesn't make sense. That really doesn't make sense at all. Oh, no, it worked. Weird. I must have done something in the editor. Cool. All right. I think I am going to call it the end there. I appreciate everyone that hopped on. Went for just a little over an hour today, but I'm tired. It's 8:30 and it's basically bedtime. So I appreciate everyone that hopped on. If you did enjoy the content, you know, feel free to follow or subscribe, be it on Twitch or YouTube. But no expectations. Thanks for everyone that hopped in, and I will see you guys all probably, maybe not tomorrow actually. It might be Thursday. I have a pretty busy day tomorrow, so